Hello everybody, we are the Geeks and the Trends. I am Enzo. This is my forever co-host John, and we're starting our annual Independence Day lineup with the José Rizal movie. If you didn't know, last year it was digitally restored and brought to Netflix for the anniversary of his execution. But yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Directed by... Sorry,
Yeah?
you were saying?
No, go on.
Directed by Marilu Diaz-Abaya. This is a 90s classic Filipino movie starring Cesar Montano as Jose Rizal. And is present time wise, it's him, the events leading up to his execution, but we see glimpses of him younger, him writing his books, him doing everything he's known for, he's famous for. Question for you is, before we get into plot, what's your view on Rizal as a national hero?
Him as a national hero, I understand.
Yeah.
Because he did give us a voice. He did aspire a lot of us to stand up for ourselves.
Yeah.
Where a lot of us, and it is a very common Filipino trait, where you just like go with the flow.
Yeah.
Even though the flow is very rapid and very harsh, and we could go a completely different direction if we just stop being in that river.
You're like, but there are rocks in the flow. Keep going, but okay.
Yeah, the rocks are just there, you know, and that's how life is. No, you can go a different direction.
Yeah.
That's what Jose Rizal kind of gave us the power to do.
Yeah.
Because, yes, as I said, it is a very prominent Filipino trait where when something bad is happening, sometimes we're just like, that's life.
Yeah.
A lot of times, that shouldn't be the case.
Yeah.
And that's what, how I see Jose Rizal. Yes, I am more of a Bonifacio man, where I'm like, fuck the Spanish. if I was around that time, I've been like, fuck the Spanish.
Yeah.
I'd rather be a full-fledged Filipino and just have my land for me.
Yeah.
But yes, we did have a Malcolm X and a
Martin Luther King.
Martin Luther King figures before Martin Luther King and Malcolm X was a thing.
Yeah.
Where one was a prominent pacifist, while the other was more take action into their own hands kind of guy.
The exact opposite of what a pacifist is. Yeah. Like you, I grew up like learning about Rizal as a national hero and the sacrifice and how he gave us a voice, and how he wanted to do the like, let's fight with our words and our writings and not use violence, not throw ourselves into the firearms of a military that has modern technology where we can barely strap together for now. Let's just take our time. Where, of course, people like Bonifacius, like, we have to do it now. We have to do it quickly. We have to just get rid of all of them so they don't have a chance to come back. And Rizal's like, well, let's do this the peaceful way.
We can live, we can live in harmony as equals, but that's the thing, is that they would never see us as that if this continued.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Both ends of the river either ends with us being destroyed by a military, or the oppressors just saying like no, and you'd be like, oh, okay, that's how you feel. And the movie shows why we get close to I love the analogy of like freedom is like a light for a moth. The closer it gets, you might get burned out. But the reason being is that the colonial mentality of the Spanish is that like, we can do whatever we want, we can take your life, we can take your women, you can take your properties, and you don't get to ask why. It's just how we are more powerful than you, we are superior to the Filipinos. And you see that in the universities, like in UST and abroad too, and you're like, there has to be.
I think it was in Ateneo that time.
Oh yeah, Ateneo and abroad. But like, you see the world changing, and in a similar way, the idealists of Rizal and the other revolutionists are like, we have to change our ways too, because we deserve to be free. And I do love the fact that every now and then we go back to his novels, Noli Me Tangere and El Filibusterismo, with the story of Simeon and Crisostomo and Bar and all that jazz, to see like how it lines up with like their fight for freedom.
And yes, Crisostomo and like Simon
Yeah.
are his self-insert.
Yeah.
He that is his eyes into that world, and that's who he sees himself to be. Even though, like, yes, Simon's supposed to be like
Yeah.
the the darker side of Crisostomo.
Yeah.
But it's just like it's kind of like his two feelings and how he's conflicted with what's happening to his own country, how he wants to act, but how he should act,
Yeah.
how things should be, but it isn't.
Yeah.
And he really puts his entire feelings into these books. I even have one. I am reading it out of leisure, not because a high school project needs me to do it. I am reading it out of leisure, and I really do think that the Filipino people should just like go back to it. Yes, we did read it. We did read it. We're traumatized by it back in high school, but just give it another shot. Read it as it is.
Yeah.
It's a damn good book.
We read it without the 3-week deadline. We were like, I guess I have to speed read this. Shit.
Yeah. With somebody with ADHD, you're like, fuck.
Right?
Yeah, but ADHD and dyslexia too. But like, I did get like a full English version. So if you can't read full on Spanish or you have a hard time with Tagalog, you could go nuts with the English version.
Yeah. His books are available in all languages, including Japanese and German, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, because he spoke those.
And it's like you see his beginnings and you see how his brother like he idolized his brother because he was also a fellow revolutionist. And like if you remember the Gumburza movie, like his teacher was one of the priests who were executed, and like he brought his brother to that side because people back then didn't have anything better to do with their lives.
Yeah.
But of course he was there to support his mentor in his darkest time, and like show Rizal like these people do whatever they want because they feel like they're superior, and we have to push back some way somehow, whether it to be through fists or through just your
Words.
meta of words. And
Yeah.
them reading your novels and being like, I think we're the bad guys in this one, aren't we? And then being like, how dare he?
Yeah. Again, you do see why this man is renowned
Yeah.
to be a hero. I could see why the amount of influence that he has. This guy was a scholar.
Yeah.
Like he was well read, well educated, and yeah, even with his talks with, when he was in prison, he had the talks with a helper boy, where even though the boy was going against his beliefs, where he's just like, your mom is right. You shouldn't stick out like a sore thumb. You shouldn't fly too close to the sun.
Yeah.
You shouldn't speak out because it just makes more problems. And to him, he just smiles and just gives out a reason why he doesn't do it. He doesn't belittle the guy. He doesn't like, oh, you're an idiot for doing that. He just tells him, this is why I believe it. This is why I need to speak up. Because it's unfair. And yes, that boy does see why it's unfair.
Yeah.
This boy joins the revolution. Like, as soon as he sees this great man get unjustly executed.
Yeah. I also like his lawyer, Taviel, where at first he's like, why are you going against us? We're here for your betterment. And then he tells his experiences, and Taviel's like, yeah, that is a problem. Shit.
Yeah, I love that. It's just that when Taviel is just like, aren't you over-exaggerating with your books? And he just asks him, how long have you been?
Yeah.
Like a couple of months, years? I've been here all my life, and I've seen all the injustice.
Yeah.
So you have no right to say that I'm over-exaggerating.
Yeah.
I'm like, I love that entire conversation. And Taviel, as a character, not as a character, as a person. I'm guessing he's real. I don't remember him in the books or in like our lessons.
Yeah.
I don't remember his Spanish lawyer who turned face.
Hey, I mean, well, we are talking about Philippine history, so I guess he's like a tiny, like, figure. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if it was like Hollywoodized or what we consider Hollywood.
Yeah.
GMAized. I don't know.
Sure. Yeah.
If he was just like an added character, or if he's fiction, or if he's real, I'm not sure. But if he's real, that person did change throughout the time he's been talking with José Rizal.
Yeah.
Because José Rizal is very charismatic. He's more of a, he likes to use diplomacy rather than fighting. So the man used his words and pretty much turned this guy to his side.
Yeah.
And it was like, yeah, this guy's a great guy. Why are we doing this? Because and he finds out why. It's because they can.
Yeah. It is like fascinating to see Rizal even disagree with like members of La Solidaridad. That's a mouthful.
I can't say it either. It's fine.
Or they're like I thought this is a private corporation. Like, why do we need to make it for the people? And Rizal's like, because the people that you're dismissing as our people. Excuse you? And you're like, God damn.
God damn right. Yeah, that is so weird. It's like, oh, we gotta make a club for the people, but it's just us, just us. I'm like, that doesn't make sense.
Those who are privileged enough to travel to Europe and get a better education, and Rizal's like, what about the rest of our people, man? They don't have the privilege. They are suffering right now, and you're here in Europe with like high class suits and whatnot, talking for the people. Your paper's not even for the people. You're not making it private for our class. But I'm part of that class, but I recognize that our people are still our people, and we need to fight for them, to fight for the voiceless. Even the actor for future Aguinaldo's like, you don't have to separate from us. And he's like, it goes against my ideals. And you're like, I'm like, as much as I don't side with his pacifist ways with our independence, I am glad that Rizal here shows how much of a man of conviction he is. And like, even in the face of separation, he's on point.
He still stands on his principles, and I'm like, yeah, you don't waver, you don't shake or bend to anybody's ideals. You just like stay on yours. Yeah. And I'm like, I respect that, even though like majority of people disagree. Yeah, as long as you stick by it, you still gain a bit of respect, because, dude, a lot of people would fold if they think that majority thinks a different way.
Yeah, and it's kind of the, again, talking against the Filipino trait of like, let's just go with the comforting majority, and you're like, but the majority is heading towards the rocks. There's another stream that takes you. It's a bit more uncomfortable and a bit like less flowy, but you'll get safely to the other side. They're like, no, the rocks are fine. We're like, those are sharp rocks, man. Are you sure?
Yeah. Or it's leading to or towards a waterfall kind of deal.
And you're like,
yeah. I know I'm gonna go a little off tangent. I just didn't know this little trivia on José Rizal, and it is a bit weird. I did not know he was a cousin kisser.
yeah.
I was just like, oh, take care of your cousin here, and then José Rizal just like, don't sit with me. I'm like, guys, okay. If it's history, it's history.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie, Filipinos are a bit weird with their cousins.
Yeah.
It is very common, oddly enough. Even though you and me, we did not know any of this.
Yeah.
I just like, I saw in like, do you know Bad Friends?
Yes.
The podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, they touched on that. Hey, we got a high rating of cousin kissers here in fucking Philippines. It's just like, oh god.
Yeah. But
anyway, sorry for that tangent.
Going off from that, I do like the fact that this biopic shows Rizal's flaws and all, but shows like this man is committed to a higher cause. He is willing to be burned by the light of freedom. He just, the fact that he doesn't fight back, including the injustice of him being imprisoned for the books and him being indicted of, like, he's the reason why Bonifacio and the other Capitaneos are rising up, and he's like, I have nothing to do with that. I even told him, like, no, I disagree with your ways. Don't know why you're putting me in the same room as them.
Yeah.
I do love the scene when Taviel, they read out his sentence, and Taviel's like, this is fucking bullshit. I thought we were better than this. And Rizal just like, It's okay, man. And Todd is like, why aren't you
Well-
panicking? You're dead.
Right? Yeah. Well, I guess that's the reason why he chose Taviel.
Yeah.
Like they never answered it. They never said anything about it. But Taviel did question, was like, why did you choose me as a lawyer?
Yeah.
I guess that's why he's pretty much somewhat like Rizal, where he stands by his principles. He knows the rights and wrongs. He just needs a bigger picture.
Yeah. And like, I do love the fact that it shows how human Rizal is. Like the night before his death, he's just like, I don't want to be here right now. I like reading his last rites. He's like, yeah, I don't like this. Don't like this one bit.
The man's hallucinating.
Yeah.
I know this could be dramatized, but yeah, he saw his own characters
Yeah.
talking to him, kind of like telling him like where you're at in life right now.
Like I think that's my favorite scene in the movie where Rizal meets Simon, and Simon's like, "Can you give me a better ending, man? Can I blow up the lantern?
Yeah.
Because that's how everybody says a revolution starts." And Rizal's like, "No, it starts with this. Even though I die, it's essentially it's our version of the whole. I burned my life to see a sunrise that people will never see, and like generations will see, and it shows that our people, the Filipinos, are worth dying for, and I will die on that hill, even though I am going to be executed today, and I don't like it, but it has to be done to set off these events, and if I have to be the starting point, so be it." And you're like, God, this movie's pretty good. Not gonna lie, I enjoyed my time with this movie.
Same here. It is a very important movie. I feel like everybody should watch.
Yeah,
Holy shit! I really think this should be shown in class.
yeah,
I know it's pretty much 3 hours long. It is 2 hours and 58 minutes.
yeah,
But my God, the dialogue is so fucking good. The acting's fucking great, especially for a movie that came out in 1998.
yeah,
I mean, for sure there were great movies that came out before, but like, yes, we are used to the whole rom-com cinema.
yeah,
Yeah, you get what I mean. It's just that like holy shit, this thing, is more appropriate now, in my opinion, to
Yeah.
be shown to our younger demographic, to people who are like coming up into their tween age or teenage age, or even up to their young adult age.
yeah,
You kind of have to see this because years down the line, we will be voting again. We will be choosing a new leader, and this kind of shows us how we should think and how we should want a better place, rather than being, well, that's how it is. We don't want that no more.
yeah,
And we have been seeing a change in that in our own country,
yeah.
which is great. It's a step, but holy shit, at least we took the goddamn step.
Yeah. This movie is also perfectly paced. It's you don't question like, is this too short? Is it too long? It's perfect.
I never felt the 3 hours.
Yeah,
I was that engaged. This movie's beautifully written to a point where I'm like, I want to know more. I need to know more.
yeah,
The dialogue's great. His principles, to a degree, I do stand by. You know? And just like the character development for all the characters, especially for José Rizal and like Taviel.
yeah,
Fucking beautiful. Love that.
yeah. And like everybody did a great job acting. Even though Cesar Montana has political views, you're like, I don't think those. I don't think Rizal would agree with those. Yeah.
Separate the art from the artist. Separate
Yeah.
the art from the artist.
Great job, Mr. Rizal. Don't think he would agree with you, though. You know, you're like, oh well.
It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah,
It's okay. Oh no.
but yeah, and yeah, they stick to his end where he turns around after being shot, having the willpower to be like, no, I do things in my own way. I have the willpower, and at the very last moment, you don't get to tell me what to do. You don't get to dictate my life like you do so many of our people. I will defy you one last time, and it is powerful. You're like, you've seen it, you've read it so many times in class. You're like, yeah, he gets shot. See it, and how this movie unfolds, and what the principles he stands for, and how he burns himself on the light of freedom to make again a sunrise that countless of other people will never see, but will be grateful to him to have. Him,
Yeah.
Bonifacio, Antonio Luna, all burned their lives for the freedom of this nation, and they are great people for that. And I hope their sacrifices never get forgotten. Even though sometimes you think this nation is forgetting them. Like, look at our Filipino pesos.
Yeah.
You're like, I could have sworn there were people in this thing once upon a time.
Yeah.
But sure.
Yeah.
Uh,
But yeah. By the way, to anyone who doesn't know anything about the Filipino history or is not that familiar, the thing that Enzo was talking about when he said that he defied them one last time is that he faced the sky as he died because he was shot at the back. Normal thing to do is plop down.
yeah.
He turned one last time to face the sky
Yeah.
because he did request that to be facing the firing squad. They didn't give him that.
Yeah.
So he just took things to his own hands. Thankfully, they did abide by that one request where they're like, "Don't aim for the head, please."
Yeah. But yeah, and then history unfolds like you know it, and you're like, God damn, that's a pretty good movie. I was shown this when I was younger, but me being 8, I was like, it's so slow. I don't like it. I'm falling asleep.
They're speaking Spanish, hard Tagalog,
Yeah.
and it's for a kid, especially for people with ADHD and dyslexia.
Yeah.
We're like, all right, but as we get older, we get to appreciate it a little bit better. And in my opinion, this is one of the best Filipino movies out there.
Yeah. So what would you rate the Jose Rizal movie?
I'll rate it a 10 out of 10. It is. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong. To any historian here, if there's any historical inaccuracies, do leave it down in the comments below. But in my opinion, this was beautifully written. This was beautifully praised, beautifully casted. For the time. And it did show us the nitty gritty of what happened within Jose Rizal's life. Because when it came to school books and all that, all we know is that he went to prison, he wrote the books, he defied the Spanish, and then he died. It was very pop. When there's so many nuances, there's so many lives that Jose Rizal affected.
Yeah.
And this shows it more in a better light. Yes, even even the parts that you disagree with, they show it in a better light. Where, okay, this guy was not perfect, but that means somebody like me who isn't perfect either can make a change.
Yeah.
And yeah, for 2025, it's a pretty important movie. I would say.
Yeah.
And I guess 3 years down the line as well, if you know what I'm talking about.
Here we go again.
Yeah, here we go again. But it's something we always have to go through, and I would proudly do it
Yeah.
over and over again,
Yeah.
every fucking time, because it is our duty.
Yeah.
But yeah, love this movie. For our Independence Day, I suggest watching this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, it's digitally restored on Netflix, so you can enjoy it in a modern setting. And with like it being digitally restored, it's more accessible since it's on Netflix too. And if, again, as Jomer said, it's in hard Tagalog. So if you wanted to watch it with subtitles, go ahead and watch it. We won't judge you. As for me, I will give this a 10 out of 10. The actors are great. The set design is amazing. The costumes are great. The life wise, I don't know if it's totally accurate, but like costume wise, the attention to details. You're like, you see old photos back then. You're like, yeah, you clearly recreated how Ateneo looked like back in the day, how these streets looked like back in the day, and the fact that
ancestral house and everything.
Yeah, and like this being like a Filipino production, I'm glad that they took this monumental effort to tell the story of Rizal. Like 2 hours and 58 minutes is enough to tell the story of this man's life, flaws and all, philosophical ideas, his battles within himself and with the Spanish and other revolutionaries like Bonifacio and the Naridad. Again, hard to say, but yeah, those ideals that you leave this movie thinking of like, what would I be as a revolutionary back in the day? Almost, you're like, wonder where I would fit in, and like,
I wouldn't know either. I wouldn't know if I would move or not unless a person like José Rizal would have spoken up and have been like,
yeah,
I deserve better as a person,
yeah,
as a human being.
yeah,
I deserve better.
yeah, and you see how, like, the deaths of Gomborza like are the was the spark, and Rizal's death was just adding more gasoline to the Filipino revolution.
Yeah.
And like, I just wish thankfully this year they're making Quezon, and I hope it's as to the standard of General Luna and Goya, because those movies are quite amazing. Like, again, I'm glad that Filipino cinema is kind of shying away from the usual like rom-com, even though there are great ones like Just a Stranger. But the fact that we're moving towards like more heavy topics, more genres, I'm looking forward. Like, hopefully someday in the future when G&D is big, we get to cover the entirety of the Metro Manila Film Festival, because I would love to do that. So yeah, to the audience watching, and to you, Jum, what other Filipino historical figures would you like to see a movie about?
Again, I think we've talked about this before, but like Bonifacio would be great.
Yeah,
Like like a more updated, you know, like for sure there was a Bonifacio movie out there.
Oh, there
already,
is.
but it's like, yeah,
Yeah, it's starring everybody's favorite senator.
What?
Yeah, starring Robin Padilla.
God damn it. God damn it. Just a little revamp on that one. I would love to have El File and like
Nolly
Noli Matangere like
adaptations.
adaptations like as a movie.
Yeah,
I think there is, for sure there is, or play. Was this
there's plays
plays
definitely.
for it? Yeah, but I would love to see like an updated movie for it.
Yeah, I would like to see a movie about Nino Aquino, even though we had a movie starring Esco Moreno. I was like, you know what? Let's try that again, shall we?
Yeah, let's redo it. You know, with better actors, and better actors are popping out of the woodworks.
Yeah,
Recently here in the Philippines.
yeah.
You know.
And like I hope this machine that is the Filipino movie cinema keeps moving forward in better and bigger ways. And like, yeah, we're going to go down a list of Filipino movies this week. Like, up next after Rizal is a movie set in a very interesting decade in the Philippines, which is the 70s. So stay tuned for that. And yeah, fun times.
My mom went through that shit.
Mine too.
Mom and dad went through that shit.
Oh yeah. Anyway, if you like what you see here, please leave a like, subscribe, and ding the bell icon to get notified of when we upload next. We're also on Spotify and TikTok. TikTok to see our best and funniest moments, Spotify to hear us on the go. And one last request to the audience is that if you have any other Filipino movies to recommend, comment down below, because I would like to not do this just annually. I would like to talk about it more than, once a year, because Filipino movies can be great, and if they're not great, we can all make fun of them or have a fun time together, Individually, I'm Zoda's Voices on TikTok and Anzwolf on Letterboxd. Where can you find you?
Or you can find me at JomJum__ on Instagram. It is my account.
And before we move to the decade of the 70s, we'll see you on the next one. Bye, everybody.
Ciao.